Hi guys, so I wanted to bring you something slightly different than what I do in my normal content, and I want to bring you a story today. It's going to be the story of the Heidt family and the brutal double murder that rocked their family and the community with which I live. Okay, so the Heidt family consists of Linda and Philip Heidt and their three sons, Craig, Chris, and Carrie. Okay, let me preface this by saying that this may be a two-parter. This video is going to be 10 minutes long, and I'm going to try to get everything in, but there's so much I want to tell you that doesn't just revolve around the murder. So bear with me, okay? Also, I tried to find pictures that I could load on here. There are a couple that were higher enough resolution quality that I can show you, but not many. So I apologize for that in advance, but there are a lot of pictures online if you want to look them up. I just can't load them here because the resolution wasn't that strong. So let's begin with the murders, okay? So in the early morning hours of August 25th, 2008, Effingham County 911 received a muffled call from a woman asking for help. She stated that she had been shot, but she didn't know how she had been shot. And she also stated that her husband had been shot and that her youngest son was in the home with them, but she wasn't sure whether or not he had been shot. So when officers arrive on the scene, they initially can't go and find her because when they open the door, the smell of gasoline is overwhelming. It's overpowering, okay? One of the officers that actually entered first actually slipped in the gasoline. So they started thinking this may be an ambush. Let's back up and see what's going on. If somebody's out here that may be about to set the house on fire once we go in. Once they cleared all of that and realized that the perpetrator was gone, they entered the home and they found a woman in the kitchen on the floor with her cell phone in one hand still and a piece of cloth in the other, holding it up to her neck and her face. So that woman on the floor was Miss Linda, and when the cops asked her to remove the cloth from her neck, they saw that half of her face was blown off and her neck. And it was so bad that they described it as when she swallowed, I guess in trying to talk and relay things, they could see her throat moving up and down. Other cops went further into the home to find the other residents. They found Carrie, the youngest son, in a bedroom, shot dead. He had been shot in the face. They moved further into the home, into the main bedroom. They found Philip dead in bed. He had also been shot. It looks like Philip saw the shot coming and he pulled the sheet up over him in defense and he was shot through the sheet. So before we get further into the murder, let's take a look at a few members of the Heidt family. Philip and Linda were pillars of the Effingham County community. Philip was a very big real estate investor and he dabbled in cattle all over the United States. So they were well off. And Carrie actually followed in his father's footsteps and he was also in real estate. So Carrie had actually married his high school sweetheart, Robin, like a year after they graduated from high school, and they had 3 beautiful kids together. Now, it's said that Carrie loved those kids so much that he would rush home from work every day just to be a part of their nightly routine, like getting them ready for bed and feeding and everything at night. So now Philip and Carrie were both dead and Linda was critically injured after taking buckshot to the face. The police were perplexed at first because someone tried to make it look like a robbery, but the scene was so staged, it was obvious that it wasn't a robbery. Nothing was taken, and the pane in the garage door, one of the panes, was busted out. But they had double curtains on the garage. And when I say double curtains, I mean like the curtain that has a rod up here and a rod below. So you have to slide both of them in order for the curtain to move. That curtain was undisturbed you could tell no one had reached their hand in there to open the door. They also noticed that the outside key that they kept just in case someone got locked out was missing from its spot. When they entered the home, they found that key on the inside in one of the doors. So how did that get there? So on seeing that, they deduced that whoever did this had some personal knowledge about the home, because how would you know where the key was, right? Okay, so they started questioning people in the family. They questioned Miss Linda when she was able to speak to them a few weeks later, but in the meantime, they questioned the other two sons, Craig and Chris. Now, Chris is the youngest, the middle son, and he was questioned. He had an alibi. His wife verified his alibi, and his story checked out. Craig stated that he had been at a friend's hunting cabin alone watching hunting and fishing shows. They didn't find a 12-gauge shotgun at the cabin or anything like that, but they did locate 12-gauge shotgun shells inside of Craig's truck, which on its own would probably look suspicious, but we're in South Georgia. Hunting is big here, and if you get into trucks here, you're going to find some tossed shells in that center console of somebody's truck. It's just how it is. So that didn't really raise any red flags. So Craig also alluded to, while Chris couldn't think of anybody who would want to do this, Craig alluded to the fact that Carrie and Philip had both mentioned financial issues and concerns in the past, and that might have been a motivation for the crime. Just keep in mind that it was 2008, the real estate market was plunging, and there could be partners within that business that wanted their money and took retribution. So the GBI looked into these options, but they were also hearing rumors around town about Craig. Craig had recently left his girlfriend or fiance to go live in the fox pen. But in that time, he was also searching for homes in surrounding counties, like big, nice homes with lots of acreage, telling the realtors that he was looking for acreage because he was going to raise horses, and that he was going to have the money to buy this home, whichever home he chose, because he was going to sell off some timber property that he had in order to get the payment for the home. He was also inquiring about schooling for his girlfriend's kids. This wasn't the girlfriend that he had broken up with. They hadn't seen each other in months. So who was this girl? Well, the talk around town for months prior to the shooting was that Craig and Robin, Carrie's wife, were having an affair. Of course, during the interview, Craig denied that there was any type of improper relationship between him and Robin, that they were brother-in-law and sister-in-law in that respect. But what Craig didn't know was that Robin had been talking to the GBI agents, and she had kind of spilled the beans. She told them that they were, in fact, sleeping together. So they confronted Craig with this. He still denied it. And in order to try to see if he would confess, they made it sound like they were focusing in on Robin for the shooting, when in actuality, they were focusing in on him. But he didn't budge from his statement, and he said that he didn't think Robin would have anything to do with it, but whoever did it deserved to be arrested and go to jail, even if it was Robin. But he doubted that she had anything to do with it. So since they weren't able to break him that way to get evidence, and they had no evidence, they had to let Craig go. And but they did surveil him for months afterwards. Okay, this is going to be a two-parter. Go to the next one for part 2.